While everybody's goal in franchise mode is to win a Super Bowl, or have a nice team to look at, some franchises need to be fully rebuilt to accomplish this, while others need some minor tweaks. So with this video, we're going to go over the players you should move in your franchise due to them getting up there in age, having decent depth at the position, or that big payday is coming. So here's our top 10 players you should trade ASAP in your franchise in Madden 20. So alright, let's get it. Coming in at number 10 is Kenny Stills. Even though he's been the most productive remaining Dolphin the past few years, his QB situation obviously isn't going to let him be his best self, so you might as well trade him. In all seriousness, while Stills, Parker, and Wilson all have 2 years left on their deals, Stills gives you the most salary relief by trading. And while Stills I would say is the second or third best Madden receiver on the Dolphins, keeping somebody like Wilson over him isn't going to cause a huge void in your team. Miami has way too many holes to fill in their roster, and swapping out from a position of depth to a weak one is the move, and Stills could get you something decent while still having Parker, the fast Grant, and Wilson as your top three. The offensive line could possibly be a position you should target to upgrade with the trade of Stills, as they're pretty bad at the other 4 non-tunnel positions. Trading him and letting Parker reach that potential he maybe still has would be the best course on a team with not many trade options that won't hurt you. At 9 is Nelson Aguilar. Now it pains me to say this, but Aguilar has got to be moved. It's setting up that way in real life, and you should follow suit in Madden before the Eagles finally do so. Obviously, the main thing is he has 1 year left on his contract, so he's gonna want at least $10 million a year. But with Arcega-Whiteside coming up the ranks and Mac Hollins, do you really want 3 high-priced receivers on your squad while benching a potential young stud? Reason I say this is because of Alshon and DJ's contracts preventing them from being traded for a little bit, so Aguilar is the guy here. He's a good receiver and beast after the catch, so he could land you something pretty decent, and on a team where a lot of their good players are starting to get up there in age, Aguilar is a nice piece to convert elsewhere into a cheap contract. At 8 is Casey Hayward. The highest rated cornerback on the Chargers, Hayward is going to be making a lot of money the next few years. So with the Chargers' depth at the position, it's best to get up off him ASAP. Having Desmond King and Williams on the squad makes this move extremely easy to make. Everybody needs cornerbacks, and the Chargers have 3 very good ones. And obviously keeping the 25 and 24-year-old ones on the move. None of them are super fast, so you're not gaining or losing anything there with the trade. King being eligible to gain a superstar ability after the season, and maybe Williams down the road, is more incentive to shop off the ability-less Hayward. He's not super young, so there's a good chance you're not going to get an awesome player, but upgrades to the roster elsewhere are surely to be made with the move. I play with the Chargers online and they need a right tackle bad, for instance. At 7 is Ronald Darby. Now this one is simple. The Eagles have a lot of above average young cornerbacks on the team, and Darby is an upcoming free agent who's slightly better than the pack. His speed and cover ability should fetch you something decent, and with the Eagles having Maddox and Jones as the possible new starting cornerbacks, it's not a huge downgrade, and maybe in a year or two could even be better than Darby, as both guys have star developments. At 6 is Marquise Goodwin. The Niners quickly turned into a team with a bunch of nice young receivers, and with Goodwin being 28, he's not one of them. He has the 96 speed, which should definitely get plenty of owners interested in him, but with Pettis, Samuel, Bourne, and Hurd on board, it's best to get something for the 96 speed receiver while you can. Sure, you're losing major speed trading him, but Pettis has a little bit of his own. Shipping off Goodwin and starting Pettis, Samuel, and Bourne or Hurd would allow them all the best chances to reach their potential. Goodwin doesn't give you super salary cap relief, but the player you could nab for him while still being strong at the wideout position is worth it. At 5 is Westbrook. Westbrook lands on the list with 2 years remaining on his contract at a very reasonable price each of those years. So why should you trade him? One, because of that contract, it will be very attractive to potential buyers, and he is on a team with very similar receivers, and of course the GOAT DJ Chark looking to get his targets. And Westbrook has the most value other than him, where it won't really hurt to lose his services. Losing the former Sooner, you lose the 3rd best receiver on the Jags and that 93 speed. But the speed is something the 1 year older Conley and Chark can more than make up for on your team. Westbrook has the speed, catch, and route running ability to be a potential stud if used right, and also has the ability to get the Jags some help at the tight end, safety position, or along the O-line. The star development receiver will be able to net a way better player than the normal potential free agent to be Cole. And if you were to even lose both Cole and Westbrook, the Jags will still have Lee, Conley, and Chark to be more than content with. At 4 is Anthony Brown. The Cowboys have an interesting situation at cornerback with Byron Jones and Brown both being free agents. But you got to re-sign Jones, so that leaves Brown, and I honestly would let him walk. You might start him over Awuzie, but that's not a guarantee. And if not, then you got him and Lewis battling it out. And considering he's a soon-to-be free agent, and what I could get for him with that 95 speed and a start development, I'm rolling with Lewis. He isn't as good as Brown and only a normal, but for a slot cornerback, he isn't that bad. And what you could get for Brown, I definitely wouldn't mind starting Lewis in the slot and having that new player on the squad. At 3 is Tevin Coleman. Is anybody really sure why Coleman went to the Niners? Well, I guess the Shanahan thing, but still, look at how crowded this backfield is. Coleman on another 2-year contract was always a favorite of mine when he was on Atlanta, and I usually preferred him to the higher rated Freeman. But on a team with one of my favorite underrated backs to Madden from previous years, McKinnon and Breida, he's not really that special. Especially when you compare him to Breida, who's a 2-year younger version of Coleman. The former Falcon could lend you some nice help in the secondary if somebody needs a back, or valuable picks to build up the Niners roster a bit more. You can even make a case for trading Breida since he's the free agent to be, but always keep the younger guy. Coleman still has the speed, open field, and catching ability that made him a hot commodity to be traded for Falcons owners the past few years, and Niners owners shouldn't pass up this chance either in a stacked Niners backfield. At 2 is Phillip Rivers. Now Chargers fans, I'm sorry, but this team no bias on this list. But many things point to you having to trade Rivers as soon as you can. His age, his new contract, and having a very good backup in Tyrod Taylor means he has to go. Having the extra hot routes at your disposal when you use them is nice, but I've seen this guy throw some crazy inaccurate passes when his superstar abilities all say I should not. He went down in rating after 1 year and wanting $37 million. I ended up franchising him because of that. Then was allowed to get Teddy Bridgewater and I traded him. A year too late, mind you, but I've seen enough. Having Taylor as the backup on the Chargers honestly makes that decision a lot easier for me to send Rivers packing and pick up anything of note that hopefully is much younger. Rivers is only going downhill from here while still having the pretty looking X Factor and superstar abilities to get something for him. And coming in at number 1 on Sports Gamers Online top 10 players you should trade ASAP in your franchise is Kareem Hunt. Congrats Browns fans, you basically were handed a free trade piece when Madden 20 came out when the Browns signed Hunt, especially with the emergence of Nick Chubb. Hunter Chubb basically becomes a very good backup on your team unless you're a 50 carries a game type of player. You basically have to trade one of them, and considering Chubb is signed for 3 more years at pretty cheap numbers, it's obvious who has to go. Hunt is primed to, after a good year, to get superstar abilities and be even more dangerous, and at 24, while being good for at least 6 years. So you can ship the 90 rated running back to any of the back needy teams and not be shy with who you ask for in return, while still being set at the position. So it makes sense why Kareem Hunt sits atop Sports Gamers Online top 10 players you should trade ASAP in Madden 20. So alright sports gamers, do you agree with the list? And if not, what player did you trade ASAP in your franchise that you really didn't miss? Let us know in the comments down below. And stay tuned here at Sports Gamers Online for more Madden 20 content, so make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And once you're with us, hit that bell icon at the bottom so you don't miss anything we put out. I'm Chris, thank y'all for watching, and be good y'all.